it's a very inspiring story about risking everything for a dream. And, we might not have cycled 6,000 miles for love, but, we can all think about the kind of things that we've done for somebody special in our lives. There was a challenge, and the challenge was, PK did his journey, more than 50 years ago, but he sadly didn't have a documentary team following him. So there was very, very limited archive. And that was, in some ways, it was terrifying. In others, as a storyteller, it was also really exciting. Actually, my past work helped. Several years ago, I made a film called Evelyn about my family, trying to deal with the grief of my brother's suicide. And the way we made the film is we walked the length of the United Kingdom and talked about my brother. And part of that also involved meeting strangers along the way. And we had these extraordinary conversations about, universal themes, about love and sadness and grief. And actually, I think that's the best bit of the film in some ways, the meeting with these people along the way. And I wondered, could we take that element of the story and apply it to PK's story to elucidate the kind of one of the thematic ideas that to me is the most moving in the film, is this idea of the kindness of strangers being key to PK learning to love himself. And so I sort of thought long and hard about that and thought maybe it would work. And so several months later, with PK and a young actor called Chirag Lobo, who's very, very, very talented, brilliant at improvisation, and a very empathetic and emotionally intelligent individual, we set off to recreate and follow parts of PK's original journey. And along the way, meet strangers along the route and have these sort of incredible conversations. And PK was there, and PK watched them and fed back and helped make them more authentic. But ultimately, what you see are real people engaging in completely non-scripted conversations naturally, and the camera just rolls. What we did is, when we met people who, we tell them about that we're recreating PK's journey across the world, and would they be interested in being involved in the film? And my producers, Chloe Leland, Harry Grace, would talk to them and find out some of the key sort of elements of their life story. And maybe their hope, their feelings on love and hopes and dreams. And I would brief Chirag Lobo, our actor, and I'd say, maybe talk to them about this subject or that subject, and so that we had some boundaries and some elements of things that he could ask them. But as you said, everything else were just conversations flowing naturally. And I should also say, Vanessa, that I like to think that what we've done in the film is novel in the form it takes, but it's all built on the work of other incredible directors like Chloe Zhao and the Ross brothers and Michael Winterbottom, who've done things, who've experimented with mixing documentary and scripted hybrid elements. So we were working on using things that they'd done, and I'd read deeply about their process, but we tried to do it in a unique way too. I suppose one thing I would say is PK describes the only reason beyond financial limitations which he had. He goes, the other reason he did it is because his lack of, as he says it in the film, his lack of geographical knowledge, and that he didn't really appreciate quite how far away it was. So I think that was one of the things. I think the other is, when you talk to PK at length about this, he also felt in some ways he needed to go on a journey of sorts, not just a physical one, but he needed that. When you talk to him in depth, he talks a lot about the difficulties of his childhood and the trauma that followed him in his early adult life from those difficulties. And he speaks very movingly about how meeting people along the way was a key way to learn to love himself again, because people would help him, people would touch him, and when he grew up, yeah, people didn't touch him because he was seen as, a Dalit. And I think that's another kind of extraordinary aspect of this story.